Yeah, what's your name?
Jordan.
Jordan. Dre.
I'm Charles.
Charles.
I'm Trey.
All right.
Yeah, we both play baseball.
Yeah.
You
Baseball,
run track,
on
right?
Yeah.
I'm softball.
Softball. Okay.
Good. Jordan. Charles.
All you guys met in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to each other.
Oh, that was it. That was it. Oh, I didn't.
Okay, wait.
We're not here anymore. You don't need to look for direction from us at all. Like, really this is for us to be able to capture a real conversation, to really get something that's important for you.
Yeah, go ahead. So TikTok?
Oh, me? I mean, yeah, that's what I do on my free time, like being a student athlete. Like, I used to just be so focused on like sports, and I figured out that that wasn't always as effective when it came to performing because I didn't have another outlet. I was just so strict on myself when it came to like competing.
Okay, I hear you. I feel that I play baseball, and I was always so focused on baseball, and I found like my kind of outlet like that through cooking. I like to cook a lot, and it just helps me focus on something else and just get away from baseball sometimes. So.
I'm the same way. I love to bake. Yeah, so like I just find different things to try, and like gets me away from softball sometimes.
Yeah, I definitely think, that stuff like that definitely helps. I feel like a lot of people, especially athletes, are so hard on themselves and take it super serious, which, there's definitely all that stuff. It's real and stuff like that. But I think, having the ability to find something outside of your sport to do, whether it be, going on walks or, people have all kinds of things, but definitely just finding something to do outside of it, kind of distract yourself from all the pressure and stress that goes on in your sport. I feel like definitely helps, mentally and stuff like that. So.
What year are you here?
I'm a sophomore.
Okay, sophomore, because I haven't seen you much around, but I know I've seen y'all since I've been here, because I transferred here too, but yeah.
I just want to see you on TikTok.
Where you transferred from?
I transferred from Mississippi State, so.
How'd you like it down there? It was different?
It was different. I mean, compared to here, even like tying it into like this conversation, it was a lot more, like African American. And so coming to Austin, it's definitely different. But I love Austin. I'm from Texas. I'm from Dallas. So it was like coming closer to home.
Obviously, playing baseball, it's a sport that doesn't have many African Americans in it, and one of like the things that kind of stood out to me in picking a school was that there was other African Americans on the team. Like having, I guess allies or just other people that look like me on the team definitely like made it an easier decision and was like a big part of like why I came here as well.
Yeah, I agree on that. I think, I met Dre and I was like, 8 years old, and when we both found out we were going to Texas, like we were immediately like, oh, we're going to be roommates. Like it just like we knew each other. People obviously you want to come in and try to meet new people, but to have someone that had similar interests and backgrounds and kind of just the same lifestyle that you have is definitely it makes it a lot easier and stuff like that. And like you said, you have a lot of African American people on our team, so I think that definitely helps in fitting in and feel like you're an outcast and stuff like that. So.
I think softball is like basically the same way. Like it's not a lot of, you see like black girls playing or whatever. So when I saw like Janae, especially because she's like really big here in Texas, and I was just like, I want to do that. Like I want to be like her. Like she really like made her mark here at like a predominantly white school or whatever.
Mm-hmm. And being able to do that was like with the coaches as well. Like our coaches, they don't make you feel like they're just coaches. Like they make you feel like they're your friend in a sense. Like they understand, and just being able to like have uncomfortable conversations per se, it was just like, that's probably one of the bigger reasons why like I've enjoyed it being here as well. So.
Yeah. And you can definitely tell the difference between having a coach that is kind of like disconnected from what's going on, or like, I've had coaches before that that weren't black or that didn't understand the things that we would go through, like being a black student athlete, where we're seen kind of just as just an athlete. That's all we do. That's all we need to focus on. And some coaches I've had have, treated me like that. So I agree, coming to Texas, like I have a great coach, Coach Flo. He's black. He understands the things that we go through. He always encourages us to speak up about what's going on. When we go to track meets, like we have the Black Lives Matter shirt, and he's like, people are going to be upset about it, but if that's what you believe, then, why stray away from that? And it's kind of hard having to balance the want or need to educate people, but also still just be yourself and not always have to do that to people.
That's what I felt like. That's how I originally felt, because like my freshman year, I would like notice things and feel things, but I didn't really talk about it or like know who to talk to it about. And then like when the pandemic hit and all kind of things started to happen, I started to have some teammates reach out, and that was a comfortable feeling, but it also helped me like start to open up to them and like give them a new perspective I feel like they didn't have. And then so like I had to give them like examples to let them see, like we'll say we go hang out somewhere I want to hang out, there's going to be more people that look like me there, and they feel that right away when they get there, that there's not many of them there. So then I'm like, hey, look, like how you felt in this one place where we're partying, that's my like everyday life everywhere I go. So it's just like me being able to have that conversation and like feel like my teammates understand that, like really helped me out. And that was, I mean, that's just my teammates, some of them reaching out, so.
You know, like I have friends that I've had to like educate or tell why they can't say this or how this offends me. And I feel like at this time that should be the least of my worries, but sadly that's what we have to go through. And I mean, I don't know if it'll ever get better or what will have to happen for people to understand truly.
I'm coming from like a hometown like very small and predominantly Black, so it's like when I'm here, I'm like, at first I had to like adjust to it or whatever, but then when I thought about like, I don't want to feel this way when I'm in like the locker room or like in the dugout or whatever. So during like the Black Lives Matter movement, like the softball team had a whole thing, and it was like, we figured out like who agrees, who disagrees, like who really just don't know. And so we didn't all agree, but we all agreed to know like there's like a line where it's like, I may not support that, but I support you. And it's like, I'm gonna be there for you, and I understand what you go through, but it's like, I have my own life too.
I think it definitely, helps just trying to understand, everyone's, backgrounds. I feel like a lot of people, their backgrounds and, how they were growing up, how they're raised and stuff like that. I feel like that has a lot to do with, their opinions or their thoughts nowadays, as they get older. I feel like that definitely affects it. And just, having talks, me and Jay obviously on the same team, so like we have those talks. Our coach always reach out to us, or players ask us like, hey, like, what do you think about this? Like, they're just generally like, curious about what they think, and whether it be, they think differently, or they just actually do not know and, are curious to find out. So I personally feel, it's like almost like good to know, that my teammates are like curious to like almost know what it feels like to be Black kind of thing, and that reaching out and like asking like, what do you think on this? Or like, do you find this offensive? Stuff like that. So I feel like having teammates and people that, you see every day or around, definitely, and them, being open to, learn about it and be comfortable with it, I feel like definitely helps a lot too, so.
Yeah, and I agree with the part, like, it just depends on how you've been raised or like what you've been taught. Because, I mean, even within our community, like, I know that my parents are old enough to have gone through stuff like segregation or going through getting called the N-word or, certain things in school, whereas some of my other friends who have younger parents, they know the history, but it's like, I mean, I guess they could probably ask an older relative, but it's like not that primary source that I've gotten all the stories from. And the more I think about it, it's like, we look at Black History Month or just Black history in general of something that's so far away, when really like we've had relatives or like, for me, parents that have gone through that, which is just like 50, 60 years ago, which, is not that long ago, considering the type of stuff that was happening then to looking at it now and the stuff that kind of is either repeating or just, kind of staying the same. I mean, my dad was telling me back then, there was just like, when it started, it wasn't Black History Month, it was called Negro History Week. So, I mean, of course, a few things have gotten better or changed. I mean, there's a whole month, but it's like, there shouldn't just be 1 month for you to like flip on a switch and say, okay, let's focus on Black history or what came before and like why we should be appreciative of it. Because, I mean, that's everyday lives for some people.
I mean, I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like Black History Month is just like, oh, it's the month. Okay, let's post Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks and then call it a day. Like, I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like it's not like deep enough, just because some people, like, it makes them uncomfortable to get that deep. And it's like, I guess that's why today we still have the same problems. So I just feel like if there's gonna be a change, then there has to be like enough curiousness and like desire to have that change. And that goes to like Black people too. Like we have to like not be okay with being like overlooked or like just pushed to the side about some things, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah, going back to what you said, about relatives, not being that long ago. I grew up in where I was raised is a very diverse and there's people of all color and languages and stuff like that. And my next door neighbor was actually older Black couple, and so to hear, obviously they have way different views on it than and how they grew up versus how I grew up is obviously different too. So just to talk to them and kind of hear things they went through and what middle school was like for them and stuff like that was just eye-opening, and just shows that as much as say it haven't changed, but how much it actually has come a long way, and the growth, and everyone's trying to push for more and more inclusion and all that kind of stuff. So I feel like that definitely has gotten better. Obviously there's a lot more to go, but just hear older Black people talk about things they went through compared to what I went through in middle school is totally different. So it's obviously good to hear that point of it too. So
Yeah, because that type of thing, going through that at a young age, as they have, like, that sticks with you. And I remember, like, one of the first times that I was racially profiled. I mean, it's only happened, more than I would like, but a few times, say, where they were going through that every single day for years, and I couldn't even imagine going through that, like, more than once in the same week, because it makes you angry that people look at you a certain way. And some will always look at you a certain way because of the color of your skin or just because things happened in the past. And I mean, I couldn't even imagine having to go through that, let alone hearing stories about it every year or every Black History Month when they decide, it's time to look into the history books and see how Black people have been treated.
Yeah, because it's like they look into it for a month, but sometimes you feel like you're always dealing with it. Yeah. Like your parents have their stories, you're gonna have your own stories too. Like they're gonna be like, okay, like my grandmother, she remembers the Ku Klux Klan, My dad knows his things. I'm gonna be telling my kids like, hey, the police took a knee on a man's head for several minutes, It just feels like you're gonna always have like something going on, and that's the toughest part for me to dealing with. It's like, sometimes it just feels like it's just.
Yeah, it's like the more they change, the more they stay the same.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, like you were saying, we have came a long way, but there's obviously, thankfully we're young now. I hope years from now, it'll be even better and our kids will be saying the same thing about us. Like the things that we went through, they might not have to go through the same thing. Maybe nothing is ever gonna be perfect in any aspect, but hopefully it'll be a little bit better just for the next generations to come.
I also really enjoy being Black too at the same time.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I have short hair, so I wear a wave or a do-rag. So it's sometimes funny. We'll go to the field and some of my friends are like, "Oh, yo, can I try that on?" Like it's just I take it more as a joke. I think it's cool that they are just interested in trying to try it on and just be kind of like how I am. You know what I'm saying? So I like that person. I think it's funny. I don't try to take it the wrong way. I try to take it as a joke, and they just want to try to be like me for one time. So I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, because there's being Black, and it goes for any culture or race, like you have those things that make you. So like the things that we have, such as like that we take pride in our hair and like, other things that some people might not relate on, and that's what makes it so special. And I know you always see people talking about like, well, why is there not like a white entertainment television like BET or like a White History Month? And it's like certain things are very special, or like, it's not to say that anyone else can't enjoy that, because obviously like there's some cool shows on BET, but it's like things that are made for us that express and show like our type of stories, and no one else, they can enjoy it, but they will never be able to 100% feel it or relate to certain experiences as we can.
Yeah, I think that's interesting because, like me and my dad always watch, like Kings of Comedy and stuff like that. And obviously they talk about things that, only, Black people can relate to and say and stuff like that. So it's, obviously it has like our own, special connection, I guess, within Black people, knowing that, that's just like how we are. And it's just things that, you can call, someone else's mama, that's your mama too, you know what I'm saying? So stuff like that I feel like is really cool. Like Dre's mom, obviously I know really well. So like, I feel like that's my mom too. Every time I go over there, like, we're family. That's my mama too. Where just, you know, feeling that connection with other black people and, you know, that bond I think is really cool too.
Yeah, I agree in that sense too, because like that relating or, you know, that sense of like family that comes with that. I mean, like when it comes to like the cookouts or like anything that we enjoy, like that brings us together. And I mean, even people that might be like listening to this now, like might not understand, but there's been certain things that have been either like taken away from us or we're told that we can't enjoy because of, you know, what we look like. And so when we can take that back and like, you know, really just enjoy it and enjoy it together, that's the best part of like being black and like having counterparts that support you or can experience that with you.
I would just say like, just from my background, like growing up, like it just wasn't, I guess, common for like African Americans to like just succeed in something like softball at a D1 school. So, and I feel like being a black woman in a predominantly white sport, it like makes a statement that I'm proud to be a part of. And it's like, I can do just as much as you can with the opportunities that we get the same. And so I think just taking advantage of like the opportunity that I get today that my ancestors that passed wasn't able to is just like a huge blessing.
Yeah, I think for me, like doing things like band or like when I was in theater in high school, like I had seen both sides of the spectrum, whereas in sports, obviously, like it's certain sports are dominated by African Americans, some aren't. But I mean, I run track and that's mostly like a black sport or like have a lot of African Americans in that area. But when it came to like band or theater or doing other things extracurricular, it was like I would be the only black person there. And I could see certain times where I would be treated a little differently or like overlooked because I didn't fit the certain role or what they were looking for or like didn't get a certain solo because it's supposed to, you know, they have like cookie cutter ideas of what they want the face of the band or face of the show to be. And that's why I do a lot of stuff now, as I was saying earlier, like social media, because I can just kind of take that and make it my own. Like anything that I create is mine and I'm, you know, in charge of who I want to be in it or what I want to show or portray. And it's like no one can tell me no or tell me that I'm too black for this. And I mean, that's kind of why I enjoy doing that, because it's just like sometimes you have to make your own lane because they're not going to give it to you or even accept it if you're in it.
Yeah, I think what helped me like get to that was like that understanding of like who we are, like who we've come from, and like just putting that in baseball, like Jackie Robinson, you know, he had to fight to play. Like even all the like the Negro leagues, like they had their own league, but then like fast forwarding all the way to now and like me understanding and knowing that just like makes me so grateful that I'm here with this opportunity. And it's just like, I'm not gonna take this opportunity that I have for granted either. Like there's been so many other African-American players throughout the years that like would love this opportunity. And I'm fortunate enough to have that, and just being able to understand like what it's taken to get to this point is something that I'm just very grateful for. And just like, you have to remind yourself, and once you can get to understand that, I feel like that helps you like, okay, I'm in my own lane here. Like this is what I'm able to do here, and like, I'm gonna do it my way. And
yeah, and not even in sports, but like school in general, like being at this prestigious school, people, you know, back then, like that wouldn't be in their wildest dreams to be here amongst all the other people. And I think that starts from, or at least started from, the separation that other people or like society has put into our heads in general, like telling us that we won't be good enough for this, or, you know, that kind of stays with you. And I mean, certain people like in our community, like once they get up there, it's like they don't want to help other people or commend other people for doing well as well, because it's like, well, I've made it, you know, I've done what I got to do, good luck.
I think like going on that, it's like, accepting within each other as a group as well. Like acknowledging like, hey man, like I see you doing your thing. Like I feel like sometimes we can be separated within each other, and I think like some of the more joys in life is like seeing someone else like do their thing. And I think like it's one thing I've focused on, and I think like that's something I would definitely want like us as a group to do is just like show more love to each other. Like let each other, hey, I see you doing your thing. Like I see you on TikTok, you know, like I see you doing your thing. Like keep going. I'm proud of you, you know, like that just doesn't happen as much as I think it should.
I think just being more like like proud and like unapologetic to like be ourselves. Basically, like especially being Black, it's like, yeah, I'm Black, and it's like I'm proud. So it's like I'm not finna let you like control my confidence or anything like that. So it's like I think especially being a female, like there's like a image of like how we should look, act, whatever. And so on top of being Black, I think it's like I'm me, and it's like I'm proud to be me, and I'm gonna show like I'm not gonna hold back. Like I'm gonna be on social media, I'm gonna wear what I want, I'm gonna like do what I want. And it's like I think as a community we can do like a better job of like not letting people like influence us to change like how we are, what we wear, how we talk, how we like act, just around anybody. So I think it's like instead of trying to adhere to their expectations, I think we should have our own, and like, well, not our own, but it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like a standard of like, this is how we are and this is how we're gonna be. And it's like, I think it creates confidence and just like more togetherness as a community.
I definitely feel that, you know, just like being proud of who you are. You know, I get designs in my head and I have tattoos and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, some people can, you know, take that how they want it and think of it, you know, as I'm doing too much or I'm acting crazy, whatever it is. But just, you know, that's just how I you know, that's just who I am, and that's how I express myself. And, you know, I think sometimes people may take it, you know, the wrong way and think just because it's not how they may do it that, you know, it's how, because of the difference in, you know, how they do things versus how I do things, that creates kind of that barrier, I think, sometimes. And, you know, we see it obviously on a much larger scale sometimes. And I think, you know, once we, you know, learn and get past that it's okay to be different. And because someone's doing something different, you don't got to, you know, try to knock it down. I feel like that once that, you know, begins to happen, I think that's when things will change for the better, and we'll really see a growth, I think.
Yeah, because I think, I mean, all of that like really just goes into the fact of like confidence in yourself and your Blackness, being, you know, unapologetic, as you're saying, which is super important, and things that I had to go through as well. And it just makes you resilient because, I mean, think about like if you would have quit baseball or softball the first time somebody looked at you funny because you were the only African-American person there, then we wouldn't be sitting here. And for me, going to like predominantly white schools growing up and being the only one and getting certain comments like that could have discouraged me, which it did many times, but like I tried to flip that switch of understanding like some people, you know, you're not gonna understand, or like I guess sometimes it can be intimidating to other people, a confident, strong Black person. And I mean, I can't do anything about that to change your mind other than just being myself. And the right people will follow and they'll support you if, you know, they're open-minded enough to do that.
Is there anything, or were you gonna say something? Is there anything that we missed that you guys really feel you need to say or tell each other even? Because like we're not here.
Yeah, I think it was a good conversation. Definitely nice to meet you guys and like really get to know this type of things that, you know, we've all been through, and just sitting down and talking about it other than just passing in the halls or, you know, so it's good to kind of relate to people who have been through what you've been through.
You know, I enjoyed it. It was fun, yeah.
Thank y'all very much. You can just take the mics off.
Is this going to be like on something in February or coming out soon?
So yeah, so basically what